Disney hates everyone, so you know, hating disabled people is not really a surprise. They've been hit with a class action lawsuit over disability access services policies. It alleges mistreatment of disabled people at their theme parks. So Disney's got it in for the less abled among us, it seems. Walt Disney Parks and Resorts is facing a major class action lawsuit. Bearing in mind, the last one they had of this was a gender pay issue, and they lost that. They had to pay out money. So this, the precedent's quite high for them having to pay out a lot of cash. Basically, this is what's funny. But anyway, there's been controversial changes to the Disability Access Service, a system designed to assist guests with disabilities at Disneyland and Walt Disney World. The DAS lawsuit, Malone versus Disney, was filed in Orange County, California, and alleges that Disney, along with its contracted medical screening partner, Inspire Health Alliance, is engaging in discriminatory practice that violate multiple federal and state disability laws. Oh, big no-no. Well, that's a big no-no. So what does the lawsuit allege? Well, violating the ADA and Civil Rights Act. So according to the complaint, Disney's new DAS policies unlawfully restrict access to the service by limiting eligibility to guests with developmental disabilities, such as autism. The plaintiffs argue that this revised policy discriminates against individuals with physical disabilities, violating the Americans with Disabilities Act, the California UNRRA Civil Rights Act, and Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act, the HIPAA. And also the California Confidentiality of Medical Information Act. So pretty fucked on this, to be honest. The lawsuit further claims that Disney has implemented unfair and coercive policies. No, they'd never do that. Requiring guests to disclose private medical information in non-confidential settings, violating their privacy rights. It also challenges Disney's requirement that disabled guests sign an allegedly deceptive and unenforceable class action waiver before they can even be considered for DAS accommodations. So the heart of the controversy is restrictive eligibility criteria. Disney introduced sweeping changes to its DAS program, citing concerns over excessive use of the service. This rather conveniently came right around the time that Disney rolled out Genie Plus, its paid Fast Pass system. Fast Pass was once included in the price of a Disney Parks ticket, so it was free, effectively, at one point. The new policy significantly limits DAS eligibility to guests who, due to a developmental disability like autism or similar, are unable to wait in a conventional queue for an extended period of time. I mean, if you can't walk, you can't really. You'd have issues waiting in a queue for a long period of time, wouldn't you? To be fair, but they're like, no, if you've got autism, mate, that's it. You can't wait in a queue. What a weird criteria. Previously, DAS was available to a broader range of disabled guests, including those with mobility impairments, chronic pain conditions, and other physical disabilities that made prolonged waiting in line difficult, which makes sense. I mean, you want to go to Disney parks and you can barely walk. It makes sense that you'd be part of that, to be honest. I think I don't really see an issue with that. Oh, but they do. So the lawsuit argues that this shift is not only exclusionary, but also illegal, as the ADA and whatever act prohibit businesses from imposing eligibility criteria that screen out or tend to screen out an individual with a disability, unless such criteria are necessary for the provision of the goods, services, facilities, privileges, advantages, or accommodations. Pretty mental. Pretty mental. That's kind of it, really. What do you think?
This shouldn't be surprising to anybody. The moment they changed this, it was all about profits. They are doing everything they can here to make people with disabled children or even disabled adults suffer. They have to kick out extra money for a whole day of lightning lane if they want this to even be a fair or reasonable period for people who really can't stand in lines. They put them through an illegal rigmarole to interview. to see if they qualify for this new stretch, which violates a whole number of laws. And this is one that they've got them dead to rights. This is one. This is a lawsuit that is going to call Disney out. This is going to be one of many where people suddenly realize that the value proposition for any theme park entertainment from Disney is not worth it anymore. And it hasn't been for probably about 9 to 12 years. So there's that.
I don't know if all those Disney lawyers ever actually get sleep. They have so many lawsuits. They have got to be putting in a ton of overtime, and I cannot. This year we're going to get tons of good stuff on Disney lawsuits with the Gina Carano stuff. This, yeah, it's gonna be a good year. But yeah, so I like I said, I didn't actually go into the park, but I went to all 4 different parks on the skyline there, and I actually didn't see any disabled people, and if I did, I don't remember, but I really didn't see any. I don't know.
We go against disabled people, Nick. Huh? We go against disabled people.
They're not like me.
They're invisible to you, are they?
Yeah. No, I really didn't. And they have a section for when you go through the little metal detectors, if you're in like a wheelchair and all that sort of stuff. And I was standing outside that part of several of the different gates for some of the different parks, and I actually never saw any. So, but yeah, this is just more nonsense on Disney's part. They'll probably end up losing this one too and have to pay money out. And then they'll have to go to BlackRock and be like, what kind of woke messaging do we need to put out now for you to give us more money? And I don't know. It's Disney's joke. I don't know how Bob Iger and Kathleen Kennedy still have jobs over there.
Yeah.
Or any of the people on the board there. I mean, it's a complete joke.
Go on then, Bay. What, I can see you grimacing halfway here and there.
Yeah,
frowning.
Oh boy.
We're in Frown Town.
Oh boy. I remember, do you know what it puts me in mind of? Is years ago, South Park did a thing where they sort of depicted Mickey Mouse. Do you remember that as like a real hard-nosed badass, or worse than that, like a gangster who you know had like a highly happy, clappy public persona, but immediately like the facade would drop, and he's like the most cynical gangster you can imagine. That feels like what Disney is. It feels like that's not a parody, that's not a joke anymore. That is what they really are. I mean, it's hard not to come to that conclusion with all the stuff that is constantly coming out, from the pedo stuff to the wokest commie agenda to this sort of thing. To we did a bit, didn't we, where someone had an allergy and they died, and they were trying to not pay out. Or just because of Disney Plus, a slew, story after story of evil stuff. Yeah, like signing the Disney Plus things means you can never prosecute them for anything ever. Like it's like proper evil. It's like genuinely evil shit. But not just one or two or even 3 or half a dozen examples, but just an endless cavalcade of it. What the hell? What the hell? Yeah, fuck them.
It's amazing that public image is as good as it is, actually, isn't it? Really?
Yeah. How do so many people
don't hear Disney and go, oof, oof?
Yeah. How are they? How have they still got the reputation? How isn't everyone aware that they're sort of evil? I did see just a parody video, an animated joke video on YouTube the other day, and it was about it was called like adult Disney fans. And it parodied them really bad, just like mindless, obese, like infantilized women.
Sounds about right, I think. to be honest.
Big fat idiot women that want to go to Disneyland and wear Mickey Mouse ears. Still, right? It's like I don't know. I've never been to any one of their parks ever. Actually, I did go to Euro Disney once, many moons ago.
I've never been to any of them.
It was a bit of a shit day, really. I didn't particularly enjoy myself, but the rides were mediocre, and the rest of it I couldn't care less about. But yeah, like who isn't aware that Disney are a bunch of scumbags? I don't know.
Yeah, it's kind of common knowledge these days. It seems like.
You think so? Like they have, yeah. You think it would be common knowledge. It isn't, though, is it? I mean, this very clearly is a cynical change an evil change by Disney, because they had too many actual disabled people in their queues, so they were like, or jumping the queues. So we're like, we'll restrict that to like very, very specific disabilities now. So why would you do that? That's clearly it's a cynical, yeah, like it's a horrible thing to do. Like, oh, you must have autism. Like, what? What about people that can barely walk, mate? What about them? No, they're fine. No, they can stand in that queue. It's about not being able to stand in a queue. Oh, they're fine. Don't worry about it. Autism, no, mate.
They got roaming psychiatrists walking around the park making snap diagnosis on people.
Apparently, you have a 45-minute interview about it all.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. Actually, Marvin, who wrote the story, actually revealed that today on a couple of broadcast shows he was on, that he was standing to the side of somebody that had to go through a DAS interview, and it took the better part of 45 minutes. So, and they asked some very, very tough questions that are prohibited here in the States to be asked, on top of the fact that they also try to trip you up and trick you into saying something different so that they can deny you, because their motivation is to make people pay. Disney used to be part of Give the Kids the World and other charitable programs. Obviously, they have zero interest in being charitable.
So you say interview, what you've described is an interrogation.
Yes, that's it. Exactly.
Yeah.
Does everyone remember Frackoff Feggle Crab reminded me? Disney threatened a family over the use of Spider-Man on a child's grave headstone. Do you remember this?
It's true.
They threatened to do what, sorry?
They threatened the family of, their child had died. They wanted to put Spider-Man on the child's headstone. They're like, no, you can't do that. No, it's copyright. Can't do that. Not allowed.
Yeah, they were going to sue them. They were going to sue the family.
They were going to sue them.
That's truly evil. It's not evil shit. It's not close to being evil. It's not like evil. It's not evil adjacent. That is evil.
Well, hey, let me add to that. 3 daycares were sued by Disney to remove Disney characters from the walls that were murals in the daycare.
I vaguely remember something about that as well.
Why would you do that? Like, you're advertising, like, it's a child's space, right? Like, it's like having murals in hospitals and things of these characters. Like, a child in a hospital is awful. It's an awful thing for a child to go through. If they have to spend any length of time in a hospital, time moves so the perception of time is so different for a child, and their perception of these spaces is so much worse for a child. To see these characters that they obviously have a sort of a love for, right? So it gives them some sense of homeliness, and then Disney's like, no, you can't have that. Not allowed. It's like nonsense. I'm sure they do it for hospitals, daycares, whatever. If they're willing to threaten a family with lawsuits because they wanted to put Spider-Man, this child's favorite superhero, on a gravestone, they're like, no, you can't do that, mate. They're willing to do anything. Absolute scum.
That's horrible. That's actually a bit sickening. I'm glad I haven't eaten since lunch. I fucking puked.
Well, but Disney does that. Whereas, believe it or not, Illumination, which is owned by Universal Comcast, who are about to be sued for their DEI by the FCC. Anyway, they allow for people to use minions despite the fact that they own the copyright.
It's
So they're-
advertisement, isn't it? You
Yeah,
know, it's
so they-
advertisement for them, and why
Yeah.
would you not?
So you've got them in preschools and probably on some tombstones and such.
No,
They're
Yes,
not
yeah.
going after people for those types of uses, whereas Disney, they suck. They're freaking evil as hell.
Can you imagine being that person working in Disney's legal department, working on the case of taking the family to court over that kiddie's tombstone or the murals on the wall? Like, that's your job. At what point would you have any sort of self-reflection and be like, am I the bad guy here?
Oh,
Am I doing something morally and or ethically wrong?
those scumbag lawyers that they don't give a crap.
don't
They're
give
right. They're
a-
right there
right.
with Disney.
Yeah.
Oh, well, we can get money. Okay, yeah. Let's get them.
Yeah. Disney, truly evil. And now apparently they hate disabled people, it seems, as well. So